Two shots, same lens, same light. One is a $10,000 cinema camera from 2018. The other is a brand new $3,000 Blackmagic. Which would you bet your film on? In this video, we're going to discover how an older $10,000 cinema camera compares against a brand new cinema camera that sells for $3,000. Today, you can get them both for about the same price, but does newer technology always mean better? Let's discover the true big difference and see if older technology can outlast the new. Red is one of the film industry gold standards. Used in Guardians 3, Superman, Tron eras. James Gunn's Superman used the red V-Raptor. One of the latest Joker movies used the red Komodo. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 used multiple reds. There are a lot of movies that have been filmed with red cameras. Blackmagic is also used by Hollywood for some movies like Thor, Love and Thunder, Jurassic World Dominion, and Bullet Train. Well, they're more expensive cameras like the Ursa Mini Pro 4.6 G2. Why choose the Blackmagic full frame for this comparison then? It's fairly close to what I think I can get a good used red camera for. Can we actually build a working red kit for $3,000? Let's find out and see if we run into any issues. Being completely new to the red ecosystem, I was confused by pretty much everything. Dragons were everywhere, their handles didn't match for similar looking camera bodies, and their proprietary media even changed over the years. I discovered the Red Dragon to be the first camera to break DxO's 100-point mark in 2014. So let's find a cheap dragon. The Raven. The Red Raven is the bottom of the bucket of the Red DSMC2 cameras, but it seems stacked with some great features. 4.5K RAW 120 frames per second, and even 2K 300 frames per second. It's pretty impressive. Records proxies simultaneously to the RAW file, similar to the Blackmagic full frame, and something called HDRX. More on that later. I found a Red Raven on MPB for $1,400. Came with the AC power adapter and a case. Then I ordered this handle on eBay for $282. Oh wait, this is the wrong handle. Crap. It says DSMC2, but it's not a DSMC2. The handle was for the DSMC1, while the Raven is the DSMC2 body and requires a different handle. Thankfully, the person I ordered this handle from was incompetent and didn't ship it in time, so eBay never charged me. Okay. There she is. Red Raven. It is missing the back plate. That stinks. Let's see the beautiful sensor. Without the back plate, I could not even test the camera to see if it worked. So I bought a red base expander for $349, 220 gig mini mags for $250, a red mini mag reader for $150, and a 4.7-inch touchscreen for $565. Updated price. And now for the most important test, let's add in some power here. Let's try power. I didn't want to use the red with an AC adapter sticking out of it, so I started looking at battery options. Oh good, they have a V-mount option. Let's find one. Then I realized how expensive a V-mount expander currently is on the market. $700. Ouch, red volt it is. I picked up a red volt module for $142 and two red volt batteries for $125. Updated price, $2,981. All right, let's turn it on and see how quickly it boots up. Oh wait, the batteries are dead. Surely the AC power will charge the red volt batteries. you have to buy a separate special battery charger for the Red Volt batteries. Picked up a Red Volt charger for $87, charged the 2 Red Volt XL batteries. Updated price. Looks like it belongs on a Klingon vessel or some kind of alien ship. So this actually holds 2 batteries in each, but I got the XL batteries, and the XL batteries go the full width. So while filming this, I was thinking that I had to use this only to charge the batteries. And when I plugged in the power before, I had plugged the power in here, not in here. And when it's plugged in here, you can see this magical grill, and that grill lights up. It's flashing because it's charging the battery. And I didn't realize it was actually charging it the first time, and I ended up buying this charger. So go figure. It actually does charge the Red Volt XL batteries in the camera, which is convenient and normal. So I picked up this handle for $250 to make it more portable, which is technically not needed, so I'll cheat a little bit and leave it off of the total. Remember, this is a 7-year-old $10,000 cinema camera from 2018, and this is a brand new $3,000 cinema camera in 2025 that should have some new revolutionary features that crush older technology. Let's get started with the similarities. They both have permanently installed OLPFs to help reduce moire while filming. The Red Raven is one of the few Red cameras in the DSMC2 line that does not allow you to change the OLPF. You're stuck with the one that is permanently installed, just like the Blackmagic full frame. They both film 12-bit RAW files. I'm not going to argue the validity of BRAW being a true RAW because Red still has the patent for RAW until 2028. They both have similar audio options with 2 built-in mics in front and the ability to record 4 total inputs simultaneously, even though I wouldn't use either of them to record when filming. They both use touchscreen interfaces, in this configuration anyways, and I didn't struggle with Red's touchscreen response time like I've heard others complain about, but the Blackmagic is a little more responsive. They both have Wi-Fi connected apps for control. They both suck at autofocus. They both do not allow simultaneous recording on multiple media types to help protect your files. And they do not have built-in ND filters. Okay, we've covered a lot of similarities. Now let's begin to decipher the big difference. There are so many differences that it's hard to know where to even start. Don't worry though, we will identify the one big difference by the end. Trust me. Easy ones first. The Red Raven is on Netflix approved list while the Blackmagic full frame is not. But Blackmagic does have a few notables. Heck, even the S1H is in here. Is this an indication of superior image quality? Maybe, maybe not. Think about the Netflix approved list as more of a safety workflow camera list rather than a capable camera sensor list. Netflix's list isn't the final authority for most filmmakers, but it does have some good merits for workflows they've defined over the years. The Red is a box camera versus Blackmagic's fat DSLR body. These are very different shapes, but the mounting points are similar enough, so who cares? The Red uses the older EF mount that is sadly not interchangeable like its siblings, 2PL, but it has a twist lock ring to remove any slack on the lens after mounting, which is kind of cool. While the Blackmagic full frame has the newer L mount, which also lets you use older EF lenses with an adapter if you want. Like I mentioned in the beginning, the Red Raven sensor is a small Super 35 sensor versus the full frame, which is based on the original 35mm size by Thomas Edison for his kinetoscope in the early 1890s. The Super 35 sensor was popularized in Hollywood in the 1980s by the movie Top Gun, because they couldn't fit bigger cameras into the cockpit of an F-14. Let's increase the stakes now and discover what kind of technology an old cinema camera had that a newer Blackmagic camera does not. You can move the Red monitor controller from here to here, but you can't move the Blackmagic monitor at all unless you have the new Pixis, which now has this cool monitor. Come on, Blackmagic, make the new monitor work with all of our Blackmagic cameras. Next up is HDRX. This seems to provide an unfair advantage of dynamic range. The camera already boasts 16.5 stops of light, but this crazy mode claims to increase the dynamic range another 6 stops up to 22.5 stops of light. How in the world can it do that? The Red Raven films 2 video files simultaneously. First file is called the A track, and the second file is called the X track. Just turn on HDRX, then choose how many stops you want to add, and film. There are a few negatives to this process, sadly. The frame rates of both video files are different from each other, with different shutter speeds, and the memory card record time is cut in half. The X track is always faster, which means a darker shot, but it's also sharper to underexpose the highlights for more highlight protection. The biggest thing affected with the change in shutter speed is blur, which means you really can't film the full extra 6 stops if there's any motion that you want to fully duplicate in a shot. Too bad Netflix still doesn't approve it for their originals, so I guess this superpower is irrelevant for some productions, at least for Netflix. Now let's see what kind of technology the newer Blackmagic cinema camera has that the older Red does not. The Blackmagic has a trick up its sleeve too with dynamic range. When you navigate to this menu in Davinci Resolve and turn on Clip, you will see access to a feature called Highlight Recovery. This can add an extra stop of light in some cases. But what is highlight recovery really doing? Is this just an algorithm rebuilding something or actually data? Weirdly, it's both. It brings back some actual data, but it's not that healthy, so the algorithm helps rebuild it as best it can, which is why it's best not to use highlight recovery on every single shot. It seemed like it would make sense for Blackmagic just to keep highlight recovery on all the time and let me color grade as needed, but it can cause artifacts when the details being recovered are clipping. So be careful when you use this on some shots. Neon lights, I think, are one of the big culprits. The Blackmagic has a built-in internal gyro. Why? Because it helps you fix rolling shutter when editing in Davinci Resolve. One important camera feature that many of us pay attention to is how fast the sensor can read from the top to the bottom. The faster the read time, the better the rolling shutter performance when the camera's moving or filming moving objects. So when you move the Blackmagic quickly, the screen will turn to jello a bit. The gyro fixes this issue, but does crop in a little bit to compensate. Go here to learn how to set up the gyro in Blackmagic and Davinci. Will it work for every shot? No, but it's pretty fantastic on most shots. The Red has a gyro too, but it's only used for the level on the display. According to GyroFlow, the newer Reds and the DSMC3 line are the only 2 Red cameras that support gyro data to export and stabilize your footage too. Remember these shots? Which shot is on the old Red Raven and which shot is the new Blackmagic full frame? Were you surprised? Which one did you like best? These are both great cinema cameras. The Red's beautiful metal armor and powerful slow-motion dragon sensor create a truly cinematic image, while the newer Blackmagic full-frame sensor, sized to take advantage of anamorphic lenses with a built-in gyro and plethora of other built-in features, creates a great image for the price. I wish Blackmagic would have offered the built-in ND like they did with the 6K Pro, but I'm sure the closer flange distance for the L-mount is the perpetrator. They could mimic Sony's FX9 LCD neutral density filter, but that would probably add a lot to the price. Otherwise, I really don't mind the plastic shell of an awkward body, as there are enough frame options that you won't have issues rigging it up. It's a powerful 12-bit camera for the money, and I'll just use variable ND filters on a matte box for now. Meanwhile, the Red's boot up time is slow, but it's not impossible. But I really love some of the random, unnecessary aesthetics. They didn't have to add this fun see-through gear area when I press the aviation-esque eject button with barber poles on the battery latches. You can tell someone who started Oakley had a say in the design. The black shade calibration does take way too long. Its low light capabilities are poor, and the lack of depth of field with this tiny sensor limits a lot of your shots. But none of these are the big difference. In fact, the big difference in this comparison isn't even a technical feature of the camera. It is obsolescence. This is the big difference and your biggest enemy if you go down the old Red trail. You're stuck with whatever crumbs are left on the market, as Red requires you to equip these old DSMC2 brains with so many accessories that are beginning to fade away. Add to this the fact that Red doesn't support these cameras anymore, parts are getting harder and harder to find, and you can't even buy new memory for them anymore. Well, I guess you can buy Genitech. Okay, maybe not Genitech. Or you could buy the new Cinelux Nexamag, which was released this year. As beautiful as the image and quality of the older Red cameras are, I would recommend for you to stay away from them if you want to protect your wallet and avoid hunting for obsolete parts with no support. The quality of the images are close enough to me as an indie filmmaker that I wouldn't add the rest of my small production. Do I want to worry about the expensive add-ons and difficult to find parts when I'm just trying to worry about telling a great story? So for $3,068, you get a camera that initially cost $10,000 as equipped versus $3,089 and what is it? Check the price of the DSMC3 Red Komodo. Okay, let's take a look. Red Komodo. It has a built-in monitor with a touchscreen, quicker black shade calibration, 30 seconds versus 30 minutes, uses non-proprietary media, and is only $2,995. Crap. If you still have $3,000 and would like to see how the Blackmagic full frame compares to the 6K Pro, then check out this video. Discover the full frame's true purpose in the Blackmagic ecosystem.